As we all know, Mercedes has an open seat for 2025, and Toto Wolff, the head of the Mercedes team, is openly targeting superstar Max Verstappen, making sure he mentions the Dutchman during every race weekend. This just shows his vision for Mercedes and how bad he wants to be on top again. And in all fairness, he has a chance, as Mercedes have offered Verstappen probably the most insane proposal in F1 history. Toto is going all out on this one. Mercedes team head and shareholder Toto Wolff has regained his grin. Reason? He's found a light at the end of the tunnel that will bring him and his team out of the current despair. The light comes from the Netherlands and is called Max Verstappen. Following the Australian Grand Prix, where Mercedes drivers George Russell and Lewis Hamilton retired, the team boss stated to go all out for Verstappen. Unusually candid for a decision maker, he makes no secret of who he wants to replace Lewis Hamilton, who is leaving for Ferrari next year. Verstappen, we have one free place, the only one among the top teams. Unless Max decides to leave, then our place will no longer be free. One thing is certain, the reigning world champion has been treated to a red carpet arrival. I'm waiting for him, the team boss even admits and adds, "A few months ago I would never have expected that I could say that." Wolff delves deeply into the Red Bull wound, which is still raw, because he knows Verstappen and his family trust the employee who accuses Red Bull team leader Christian Horner of power abuse. Continuing to work with the English egotistical and his Thai assistants from the Red Bull family makes no sense for them. "I don't want to speculate too much about his thoughts or put him under pressure," emphasizes the Mercedes team boss, referring to Verstappen. Now, he's in the best car and has a very good relationship with Red Bull. It's just that the whole working environment is maybe not what it should be at the moment. In due course, Max, Jos, and Raymond Vermeulen will have to decide what is their priority: the car, the results, or certain values within the team that can be respected or not respected and which they consider it important. Verstappen may quit his Red Bull contract owing to an escape clause if his confident Helmut Marko is no longer in power, so the smart Wolff offers his old favourite enemy an offer. Helmut is welcome to come with him. Wolff can rely entirely on the car company from Stuttgart in his public hunt for Verstappen. As according to reports, more than 90% of Mercedes employees want the three-time world champion to be the next shining icon of their company. This is evident from good feedback on the Mercedes intranet. In addition to the sporting aspect, which could look rosier again in 2026 because Mercedes can currently boast by far the best values for the new engines, the group is also offering a long-term, lucrative advertising ambassador contract, which is difficult to refuse for the Dutchman, especially after his active career. It is understood that the Verstappen team is seriously considering a switch to Mercedes. You'd even tolerate not driving the best car in 2025 in order to pave the way for a successful comeback in 2026. In addition, the self-confidence is so great that Verstappen, not only extremely talented but, like Michael Schumacher, blessed with a lot of hard work, believes that he can give the Silver Arrow back the winning spurs faster than the current Mercedes drivers Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Wolff therefore seems almost euphoric when he says, "At some point this relationship has to come about, I just don't know when." To speed up the process, the Austrian now wants to lead Pierre Wache to Mercedes. The Frenchman is super designer Adrien Newey's right-hand guy and has a better reputation among the Verstappens than the famed Englishman with his drawing board. If Wolff's advertisement succeeds, Verstappen might become the driving coach for Wolff's second favourite driver, Kimi Antonelli. The Mercedes Junior could then learn in peace from one of the greatest of all time from 2026. The Italian driver, who is now in the Formula 2 junior class, has already scheduled his first Formula 1 driving session. He will put a 2-year-old Silver Arrow through its paces in late April, among all spots in the Red Bull ring. And if Verstappen is deemed impossible to convince, Mercedes junior driver Kimi Antonelli is apparently the team's top contender to replace Lewis Hamilton, with Fernando Alonso presently third. So that test drive could come in handy for Antonelli. According to Lawrence Barreto, Carlos Sainz is not even in the top 3 list of the Silver Arrows selection, as Wolff doesn't want to miss out on another generational talent like what happened with Verstappen 10 years ago. After winning the Formula Regional European Championship and the Formula Regional Middle East crowns, the 17-year-old Italian advanced to Formula 2, bypassing F3. Team principal Toto Wolff is keeping a close eye on the whole driver market, not just his junior driver, with more than half of the current grid out of contract at the end of the season. He mentioned Carlos Sainz, the most recent race winner, as one of 4 probable contenders for the position to succeed Lewis Hamilton in 2025, with George Russell serving as a bank driver because his contract was already guaranteed. Barreto wrote about Sainz's future after assessing his chances at Red Bull. Mercedes would be the next best available seat in terms of performance. However, with boss Toto Wolff keen to draft in the Silver Arrow's protege Kimi Antonelli in the near future, Sainz's stay at the team could be limited. For whatever reason, the Spaniard is considered to be outside the top on the team's shortlist. Fernando Alonso is said to be next after Antonelli. In the meanwhile, Wolff is careful not to put too much pressure and expectation on his younger driver, who is allegedly scheduled to participate in a 2-day private test at the Red Bull Ring. He also recently reaffirmed that Verstappen remains his preferred pick, assuming he can obtain him, despite the incumbent world champion's contract with Red Bull until 2028. We have a slot free, the only one in the top teams unless Max decides he goes. Then the slot is not going to be free with us anymore, Wolff said. There are a few options that are really interesting for us. From the very young super talent to some of the elder ones who are very experienced. That's not going to happen in the next few weeks or months or so. I want to continue to monitor the market. I think it depends also on what Max does. Then we have a young kid, Antonelli, that is very promising, and I don't want to put more extra pressure on him, but it looks like he can be one of the great ones. But we also don't want to drown him by jumping so quickly in an F1 car at 17. So there are a few options that we play with him. Obviously there's Fernando, Alonso, who is very exciting, and Carlos Sainz is very good. So there are a few ones. I'm going to make the play like a bride difficult to get. It will be interesting to see who Mercedes will end up with eventually, but it's certain their first pick is Verstappen and their second is Antonelli. But if Mercedes will be able to pull that through is still in question. What do you think? Or rather, who would you like to see drive for Mercedes in 2025? On the other hand, Mercedes have another problem to solve, their underperforming car. Mercedes will try to rebound from their Melbourne disappointment with a solid performance in Japan, having spent the time between rounds working on strengthening the W15 in a way that will undoubtedly delight Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton criticised the inconsistency of the W15 following his Q2 elimination, having finished within a tenth of Charles Leclerc's P one time in the Ferrari during the final practice session. So Hamilton will be thrilled to hear from Mercedes CEO Toto Wolff that the team has worked hard to improve the consistency of the W15 as Formula One approaches the Japanese Grand Prix. After a difficult weekend in Australia, it's good to get back racing in Japan this weekend, Wolff remarked. Since Melbourne, we have been focused on improving the consistency of the W15. The car has shown signs of strong performance on occasion, but we've struggled to deliver this at the critical moments across the first 3 races. Suzuka, with its famously fast sweeps mixed with some low-speed content plus elevation change, will provide a different challenge to the circuits we've raced at so far. It is therefore another good opportunity to build on our learnings and analyse the work that has been undertaken since Australia. The Japanese Grand Prix will take place earlier this year, with Formula One's visits to Suzuka generally occurring in the latter rounds of the World Championship in prior years. However, Wolff does not believe this will have a major impact on track conditions, nor on the typically enthusiastic and active Japanese F1 crowd. We head to Japan at a slightly earlier time of year than usual this season, Wolff noted. Whilst it is unlikely to have a major impact, it will be important to understand any differences that this causes in terms of track conditions. One thing that won't change is the remarkable support from the Japanese fans. It is always a fantastic atmosphere at Suzuka, and I am sure it will be the same once again this weekend. Mercedes enters the Japanese Grand Prix in 4th in the Constructors' Championship, 71 points behind leaders Red Bull, but they will be there with a clear vision, try to impress Verstappen for a possible move to Mercedes. But will it ever happen? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below.